Hello again, Gundam fans. Since Witch of Mercury is in second season now, I've been watching it, and I thought it'd be a good time to make this model kit. I know a lot of other people have reviewed it. Seems pretty good, and I like the TV show enough that I thought I'd get this because the Soletta Mercury is 1/12 scale, and that's a scale I do collect other action figures in. So this was released in 2022, and it's got some nice images here. It's an all plastic model kit, but it actually is pretty good as far as finish goes. I'm gonna guess based on the Soletta Mercury, but we'll find out. There's no need to paint anything. It's just all molded plastic. I did find the plastic though on the Soletta was too glossy, so I used like some sanding pads to dull it down, and it really helped out. So I might do the same here. Let's take a look at what's in these bags here. So we got a stand and the decals for the eyes. So we'll get to that later. Well, I'll just show you because you'll probably skip over me building this, which I totally understand. But you get so many eyes, if you mess up, you don't need to worry. There's also two decals here. Maybe some of his clothing insignia. Alright, so that's their typical stand. What is this now? The other. Oh, I wonder if they're going to come out with these characters in Figure-Rise. Probably. I wouldn't doubt it that these other pilots will become action figures. Seems to be a popular show. It's a well-written show. I like it. 30-minute missions, I think, or 30-minute sisters. Thankfully, I'm not really finding that appealing, so I don't have to waste money on those. Typical instructions, I'm gonna guess. So it gives you the basics of how you should clip things off twice. There's no need for glue. Everything's press fit together because Bandai is awesome with tolerances. In most cases, some parts are loose sometimes. It gives you a reference to where to put the eyes, and then the parts list. You can make sure all the parts are there. If you buy this used or something in the future. Swappable heads. Looks like there's 3 choices, so that's good. And there you go. So you can watch the build video if you really want. And not many decals. Yeah, that's that insignia we looked at earlier. Alright, let's look at this bag. I guess I don't even need scissors. It has a tearaway thing. This is why Bandai is cool. You'll see this molding 3 runner is multiple colors. They're machines that can inject different colors into the same part. So I find that really interesting. Some more stickers over in this bag here. Yeah, so these are stickers, not decals, but I guess it's good for backup. These are like mouth opening parts, but I find it's just better to paint it. I found the stickers on Soletta Mercury don't stick very well, so, and the decals wouldn't, I don't know, it's just easier to paint stuff sometimes. So, looking at the flesh tone here again, it seems just like Soletta, it's very shiny. I'm not a fan of this the finish of this so much. Unless you went running, your skin doesn't glisten so much. But this plastic is to be expected. It's interesting. You have production dials here. This one here is a finished head, so that's good if you're too easy to do the decals or you mess them up repeatedly. You still have one backup that's totally perfect because this is not a decal. These are printed on with paint. It's just a regular plain face, not much emotion going on there. Which does lead to the other faces here. So these other 2 faces, we have looks like this mouth is slightly smaller than the opening of this mouth. So, okay, so there are 3 different faces for sure. Yeah, so these are supposed to be leg stockings, and this plastic is just a little too shiny, I think. Well, stockings can be sheen, so maybe I'll leave those alone. Unfortunately, I can kind of see the waviness of the plastic. I see some weird lines in there. Yeah, now I'm starting to debate if I should paint those. And then this black plastic is definitely very shiny. It looks almost like smooth leather, actually, which I guess you can have in the to be realistic. Leather shoes, maybe. This white hair, it's, yeah, again, kind of shiny. Well, we'll have to see what happens, so I'm going to put it to some music, and you can fast forward if you want and get to the end. Okay, so after a few hours, we got it done, and definitely some issues that you should probably make note of, learn from my mistakes. If you go back to the build, you'll notice the little gates where the plastic falls into the mold for these leg brown pieces. Even though I trimmed them off properly and sanded them, you could just see these squares that were, part of the gate. They would be like here, here, and on the inside as well. So that's why I chose to repaint all these brown parts. The problem is, if you're going to have movement, like here in the knee, the paint scrapes itself and then it wears out. See, it's already scraping there. So that's an issue. I'm not sure how to clip off those gates and sand them to make them better without actually painting, to make them actually look like the rest of the plastic. I'm not sure if it's possible. So another thing I did is I used a bunch of these little nail salon like sandpaper sponges. I don't know what grit they are, but you can buy them really cheap online. And I took that to all the black in these pieces, as well as a little bit on the flesh pieces, although you don't see much flesh. So that removes a lot of that shininess that I wasn't a big fan of, because most fabrics don't really shine so much, right? So it's a slight difference, but yeah, you can see the black is a bit more matte, or at least I can see. So right now it is in posing with these optional feet, where they're just pantyhose feet, I guess. But I'm going to swap those out. I also, because I painted these, I had to go back and actually scrape the paint off, because these tolerances are so tight by Bandai usually. Paint will actually make it really difficult to get the parts on and off. Alright, but I'm going to always pose it with the boots. Another thing is there are a lot of left and right parts. So I spent a lot of time guessing which one are the left and right, because the way I built this is I clipped everything off, But if you want to avoid that, you should actually just clip the pieces off as you build the parts, not clip them all at once like I did. So in particular, this piece here, it's specifically left and right. I had to take the boots apart to, this piece here, take this cuff apart because I guessed wrong. Okay, so let's pop these things on. This is, I guess, the right foot. Yeah, see, I had to go back and scrape off the paint. This is the original brown color here, and then I have kind of like I guess it is a brown. I mixed a certain type of gray and a certain type of brown, and it came out to be this color. Okay, let's go over the articulation of this thing. So the head, there is a ball peg on the top and bottom of the neck, so unfortunately you can only get that much forward head movement, and then the hair gets in the way of the rear movement. This rear hair is on this hinge, and you could twist it a tiny bit if you want. And if you want to replace the face, I think you gotta pull this thing out. Hold on. Right. So right now we just have the stock face with the printing. And I'll just show you the other two faces. Yeah, that's it. I couldn't really figure out which eyes were the angry eyes, but I didn't want to spend too much time on it. So I think you might have to take, I'm not sure if you have to take the whole head apart in order to get this face swapped out. It might possibly be the case, which is kind of silly. Right? I don't think it's that hard. It shouldn't be that hard. There we go. Never mind. You don't have to take the whole thing apart. I just wasn't gripping the face correctly. Let's just do the side look. Really close up, you can clearly see the clear shininess of the decal. Maybe right there you can see it. So I'll probably end up going back to the other face, but I just wanted to show how it's swapped out. Oh, this piece fell off here. So you'll see there's a big gap there, and that doesn't look right. So I actually ended up gluing a few parts as well, because they're just too loose and annoying. So in fact, I'm going to go back and glue this. I'll pause this. Alright, let's pop that head back on. So it's quite a long neck. But when the head's on, it doesn't look so bad, right? So at least the side to side on that ball peg is pretty good. In fact, it gets a little crazy because there's actually a hinge here at the top of the neck. So it's a hinge and a ball. So that's really wacky. But yeah, I guess in a pose like that, it's kind of neat. Alright. So the shoulders are pretty good. There's a big ball peg inside that shoulder. And I think that the black cup there can actually pivot a little bit. Yeah, I see it moving a little bit. So that gives you a good butterfly, to get the arms and shoulders back or forward a little bit. And then there's a hinge here for the shoulder, but this plastic is going to collide with up here. So, and then there's a hinge here for the elbow, and the sleeve is cut in two, so you can, get some articulation, better articulation. You can't really touch your chest or anything like that. The sleeves are in the way, but oh boy, this head just fell off. I don't think it pops. I don't know. I'm not getting a sensation that ball's supposed to pop in the head. Okay, so the upper torso, you can clearly see this side to side, front to back. The front isn't very good at all, but the back is better. Okay, and then the hips here, you can see there's a drop down, there's a hinge. Let me try to show it to you. I'll just take the leg off. So yeah, there's a hinge here, so that can also act as a drop down. You can see this is the hip can rotate inside of there. Alright, so this is a ball peg here as well in the upper hip, I guess. So being on a round peg, you can rotate it, but you can also, pivot in and out. So a lot of free movement there. This pantyhose kind of thigh is a separate piece here, you can see. So obviously you can swivel that around as you see fit. And it's nice, there's a little bit of a ledge or a recess, so it hides that seam very well. Another problematic area was this hinge here. I had to go back and scrape off all the extra paint for the knees. But from the front view, it's a pretty good way to cover up the joint. Here you can see it's a little less so because I think I didn't scrape enough paint off. I didn't line the leg as well. But okay. So the knee will bend a little over 90 degrees, it seems. Yeah. And then both of these pegs on both sides are round, so you can rotate, the legs and stuff like that. But because I have so much paint in there, it's not really happening for me. Maybe I'll go back and scrape out the paint on the bottom. Okay, this also is round, as you saw me replace the leg, so you can rotate that around. And then there's a hinge here for the ankle, a little bit in the front, a whole lot in the back, and then the foot peg. The peg going into foot. The foot is at an angle, so you can get some rocker and rotation there. You'll see again, gluing parts might be advisable. This one's just a little bit too loose. Yeah. I actually clear coated these legs afterwards because I was afraid I'd stain them because of Vallejo water paint. I also made some mistakes trimming off those gates again, so you can see that's not very smooth even though I sanded it. I took a black Sharpie for the pantyhose lines on the legs, and also these stripes up here and on the little tie there. There's a peggle in the back here for the stand, which we shall get to. But before that, so you already saw the two extra faces. You got the two pantyhose feet. You have 6 sets of hands. You have 2 grabby hands, and they come with their own peg. and then two splayed open wavy hands, and then two, I can't really say they're fists, they're just closed hands. So the ease of replacing the hands is quite simple. It's just a pretty short peg, so, but it oddly seems to stay there. So, and then the hinge is at a, well, on the grippy hands, it's just a straight hinge. So let me pop that in, so naturally it can go up and down. But the other hands, the hinge is at a 45-degree cut. So by rotating the peg, there goes the head again, you can pretty much get the hand in any position, right? Whether based on the rotation and the angle. So this head is a bit problematic. There's no like lip inside there for this ball to pop into, it seems. It's, I think, just a straight shaft. So the head can fall off pretty easily, it seems. Okay. So that's it for the articulation. It's pretty good. It's pretty much on par with other action figures, I would say. Yeah, so you can make a really unnatural set of legs, but that should be able to get you. Well, it's interesting. I wasted all this time sanding that flesh tone just so it could get masked off. Not sure why they even bothered making those parts. Let's see if this leg will clear a little bit better. There goes the head again. Yeah, unfortunately, even with that drop down, you can't really get her to sit very well. Maybe there. Yeah, I guess it is possible. Okay. So it also comes with a watering pitcher for the tomatoes, and also a gardening shovel as well. So where's a grippy hand? Oh, all these hands also, there seem to be like a more flexible plastic than the rest of the model kit. You can just tell when you're clipping them. They have a certain, like, I don't know how to explain it, stretchiness to them. So I guess that makes sense because the hands have to stretch to get stuff in there, right? So here, let's get this going here. And then, all right. No weapons, of course. Let's take a look at the stand. It's the same stand that Suletta came with. This round part is if you want to use a different type of Gundam base for more of their robots. But because this figure's so small, it also comes with this small one. You don't have to use 3 arms if you don't want to. You can use 2 or 1 or whatever. They just lock it. They come apart at a certain angle. You can pull them apart, but otherwise there's a tooth in there trapping them. I'm not sure why you'd want to have her flying, but you can. And here's the little torso grip thing. So the stand works. If you don't want to see the torso thing, obviously that's why there's a hole in their back. So you could just pop that in, so less intrusive. Okay. Alright, so this is how I'm going to display her. Sorry, the camera's not actually horizontal, is it? Here's Suletta Mercury, which I obviously did a different video on. This is a Star Wars gun. So Suletta's got much darker, more of a tan, I suppose. And it's simply, I guess, a better figure. It has those gold foil stickers. Granted, you know, this costume just doesn't have that opportunity. But it is odd that this character didn't come with a tomato. I mean, if they're gonna mold red, I think they could have molded a tomato pretty easily. Alright, well, I believe these are 1/12 scale. Here's a 1/12 scale Lim Toys Ahab. It's really a Metal Gear Solid character, though, I think. And in fact, let's see how tall this character is, roughly. with the hair like 14.5 centimeters, or yeah, under 6 inches, maybe 5 3/4 or something. So that makes sense. She's a teenager. She's not going to be as tall as a full-grown man. Silhouette is actually pretty tall. I guess I'll bring out one other figure. This is a Mezco Hella. Mezcos tend to be bigger than regular true 1/12 scale stuff. So, yeah, she's definitely a bigger character, but also Hella is supposed to be a god, so she's not quite human, right? In fact, she's probably bigger. Well, she's around the same size as this Lim Toys character. Alright, so you get the drift of scale. I'm pretty sure these will fit in with anyone's true 1/12 scale or 6-inch action figure collection. Let me get this thing spinning. Oh, one last note I forgot to mention is when you do these Bandai kits, it's best to not take them apart. I was trying to take it apart after putting that tie in because I thought it'd be easier to paint the black stripe on it when it was off. But I actually ended up breaking this piece. Like, I folded this piece in half. Hold on here. Let's get that head out. So hopefully you can see the white stress, the stress mark there. It's quite delicate. So that was a mistake, but luckily, because this character has such long hair, and you can now also see is the stand the peg stand collides with it. But if you I guess twist it off to this side, it's not so bad. Well, anyways, just a mental note there. It's best to make sure all the parts are perfect before you try to assemble it. And I definitely learned that, and I'll obviously forget the next time, that you shouldn't paint the joints. They should be masked off. You want to have just the plastic in these joints because Bandai's tolerances are so good. Otherwise you'll have to scrape them off. But as I mentioned, I'm going to forget that next time. Okay, thanks for watching today. I'll see you in the next Bandai related video.